Today we're going to take this Glitter HTV from Enco, add it to an old apron to create this Christmas apron for your Christmas cooking. Let's make this! My inspiration for today's project is just a fun Christmas apron. I love a pun, so doing something that's got a little bit of a food-related pun in it is a fantastic idea. And I think that doing a Christmas apron, it kind of comes out once a year. Everyone knows what's happening, and it just gets everybody in a little bit of a festive cheer. So there's lots of different inspirations. There's lots of different puns out there. If you do a Google search for a cooking Christmas pun, you'll find thousands of them. Materials we're using today include a standard grip mat, because we're using just HTV, so we just need the standard grip mat. We've got some white vinyl, which is a Caesar brand vinyl. It's just the Easy Weed. I've got some scrap vinyl. I'm going to look for a scrap for my whisk in particular. Then I've got this Enco heat transfer vinyl, which I bought from KMART, but you can also get it at Target. We've used it a couple of times so far, and this time I'm going to test out the gold. And then I've got this old red and white apron. Now, you don't always have to go out and buy brand new things, particularly when it comes to Christmas. This is an old apron. It's losing its life, but I think I can probably bring it back from the dead this Christmas by adding this little motif to it. So I'm going to go into Google Images to start with. I'm looking for a whisk, and I'm looking for a clip art whisk. So there is a whisk for free in Design Space, but I don't love it. It's a little bit too, I don't know if you'd call it a bit too much like an icon. So it's a bit too computerized, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. So I've found this one on Google Images, and I'm just going to save it. Make sure that you save this image as either a JPEG or you save it as a PNG, because if you don't, you won't be able to then open it up into Design Space. Make sure you save it as a JPEG or a PNG file. I've also kind of looked for a candy cane situation as well, but I won't go into that too much because I didn't end up using it. But I have also downloaded some candy canes. When we go into Design Space, we're going to start by uploading our whisk. So you click on Upload, Upload Image, and you can either drag your file into there or you can do a search for it when you do a browse. And then all we're going to do is get rid of the background of this. So just using that select tool, I'm going to click on all of those areas and do a preview of the single layer. And you can see I missed the hole, and that's why it's really important to click on that preview single layer each time. Then I'm going to hit apply and continue, and this time I'm choosing a single layer. I can name it, put it in a file, and then upload. Now for our apron, we're going to put the text whisking, a little pun on the food, whisking you a Merry Christmas. So the whisk is going to be the I in this scenario. So it's a matter of now just finding fonts and putting those on either side of our whisk. So I'm going to start with a WH, and then the whisk is going to create the I, and then I'm going to do the sking as well. So I've chosen American Typewriter as my font for the whisking, and I'm also going to use that for the UA. So whisking UA, it's all going to be an American Typewriter. And I do like the trend where we are using a solid font and then a script font in our designs. So I'm going to play around with that. Also playing around with the size of the whisk, because I want the whisk to stand out. I don't want it to be hidden. So I want to make sure that it's much taller than the text, the WH and the SKING. I want it to make sure it stands out and we can see that, particularly because we're going to be using a glittery HTV for it. So I want to make sure that it doesn't just get swallowed up with everything. So I'm just going to play around with fonts and placement until I get a Whisking You A and a Merry Christmas in a script font. And I landed on Stay Classy as my script font. I think it's really nice. I haven't used this one before. I'm not sure if it's a 1001 fonts one that I've downloaded or if it is one that comes with the Apple. I couldn't really tell you that, but I do like it. Stay classy, everyone. So now that I've arranged where I want everything to go, I've decided I'm going to do an offset of the whole text. The reason I want to do an offset for the whole text is because I've got that red and white striped apron, and the red and white striped apron is quite busy. And I think if I put just that text, I love an offset anyway, but if I just put the text on top of that striped background, it would not stand out, and I think it would just get lost into the actual apron. So I've highlighted the whole thing, and I'm going to do an offset of 0.2 or 0.3, but I want to kind of make it so that nearly everything touches and I don't have too much gap around it. So I'm also going to have to play with that where that whisk is placed, because I think the WH and the SKING are a little bit too far away from our whisk. So I'm just going to have to make sure that I move that around. Before you go into make, I would make sure that I do an attach for the WH, the SKING and UA. Make sure you do that so that when you are doing your placements, it all kind of stays together, because we've got this offset, so that will help you to keep it all together. But the Whisking UA is all in the same font, and then I've got the Merry Christmas and the same font and the same HTV. The whisk, the actual shape of the whisk, it's going to be a different HTV, and then the Merry Christmas is going to be a different HTV. But because Whisking UA is all from the same thing, if you just click on each component and click on attach, it means that when it does the cut, it's all going to cut it at the same time, and you won't have to fiddle around with trying to put it all in the right spot as much. Just a little time saver there. So once you've got it all sorted, you're just going to hit make, and because we're using HTV, you make sure that you are mirroring everything. So all of your components need to be mirrored. The whisk and our Merry Christmas, I'm going to use a Glitter HTV. So I'm going to make sure that they are separate to the rest of them in particular, because you need a little bit of a heavier cut for that. And then you can combine the Whisking UA and the offset. You can combine them onto the same mat, because we're using just a regular HTV for that. So you just need to click on the element, click on the dots on the left hand side of the element, and just click move object, and then you can choose the mat that you're moving it to. Then when we go into make, there is a glitter iron-on setting, so make sure you select that, because it is, our HTV, particularly from the KMART one, is very thick. So if you don't choose that glitter, it may not cut all the way through, and you'll have to do a number of different cuts. We've got a holographic vinyl that we're going to use for the whisk. So if you type in holographic, it comes up with a holographic iron-on. I'm not sure in particular if it's going to make a difference with this vinyl, which is a Caesar vinyl, but just to be on the safe side, I'm going to just choose that holographic iron-on. Just a big reminder, make sure you've mirrored everything, because you've done everything so perfectly. If you don't mirror it, then we can't iron it on properly. weeding on this gold HTV, the glitter one from Anko, is actually, it's very easy to do, and I found it a little bit easier than the red. So I'm not sure if that was just because I've used the red a couple of times now and I've gotten used to it, but I could just pull it straight up and it just lifted perfectly. So a really good HTV to use, particularly when you're doing this kind of stuff where you want something that's cheap and cheerful and it's not something that you're going to do a lot of wear and tear. Again, I haven't washed this vinyl yet, so I'm not sure what it's like in the wear and tear component, but when it comes to making things look pretty, it does a really good job. The production on this is very, very straightforward. All we're going to do is firstly put our vinyl down that's our offset. So I'm starting with the white, just a matter of positioning it, and remember not to do too heavy of a press when you're doing the offset, because we're building up heat as we go. Make sure that what's really good about this apron is that it's got a line through it, which means that we can line our words up, but at the same time it's actually quite frustrating because sometimes it's a little bit tricky to move our vinyl around. So use what is there that will help you to line things up as straight as possible, particularly in this kind of stuff. And then you just build up your layers. So start with the white and then just build up as you go, remembering to not do long heat presses, to just do enough that will allow it to stick down and stay down. And then at the end, make sure that you put the baking paper over the top and you give it another good blast of heat. That will help it to set and make sure that it stays stuck on whatever it is that you're adding this vinyl to. And I really like it. I think the sparkle just adds a little bit of festive cheer to this project. And then strangely, even though you're using the red and the white, it actually stands out against that red and white striped apron. So I'm really happy with this. Even the gold, look at that little shimmer. Fantastic. How cute is this? I'm really looking forward to Christmas and I can't wait to chuck this apron on. Even if it is an old daggy apron, I think I've given it a really nice new life. This is a very, very good project if you are a beginner. It looks at different uses of different types of HTV. It looks at layering without it being too tricky or too difficult or too intricate even. And so it's a really great way of you trying to master your Cricut. If you are a seasoned crafter, you can go nuts on this. This could have been the most elaborate design, the most layers that you can think of. It's up to you, and I really like projects where you can just take it into your own direction. I can't wait to see what designs you guys have come up with over the Christmas holidays, and I hope you all have a great Christmas, and I'll see you for New Year. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget you can always jump on my Instagram, head over to my Etsy store, or even check out the videos YouTube recommends for you down below. See you next time.